You say you accept the risk, but your body tells a different story. Your hands tighten on the mouse. Your breath gets shallow. Every candle that moves against you feels personal. You whisper, "It's fine, I planned this." But deep down, a quiet tension builds. Your mind knows this trade could lose, but your body refuses to believe it. Because saying, "I accept risk," isn't the same as feeling it. Mark Douglas once wrote, "Accepting risk means accepting the consequences without fear." But how often do you truly accept those consequences? You tell yourself you're disciplined until the loss hits. And suddenly, the calm disappears. You close early. You jump back in to get it back. You promise it won't happen again. You're not fighting the market. You're working against your own instincts. The heartbeat that quickens, the mind that demands control. The story that says, "If I can just fix this, I'll be safe again." That's the illusion. You never feared losing money. You feared losing control. Because deep down, you believe control equals safety. But in trading, control is the one thing you never truly have. So the real question isn't, do you accept the risk? It's, can you live with uncertainty and still stay calm? Because until you can, every trade will still control you. He made $10,000 in 1 week. Every click felt effortless. Every candle confirmed what he already believed, that he'd finally figured it out. He started walking differently, speaking differently. Confidence turned into certainty. And then, the next week came. The same setup, the same chart, the same trader. But this time, every move went the other way. And in just a few trades, everything he'd built slipped away. He didn't lose his edge. He lost his emotional balance. When you win, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that fuels addiction. It rewards the illusion of control. You start to believe you caused the outcome. So when the market takes it back, it doesn't just take your profit. It takes your identity. That's why losing hurts so deeply. It's not about the number on the screen. It's about what that number says about you. And in that moment, you stop trading probabilities and start trading emotions. Mark Douglas called the market an unstructured environment. No rules, no boundaries, no one to tell you when to stop. In The Disciplined Trader, he wrote, "In an unstructured and unlimited environment, you must establish rules to guide your behavior. Because when there are no external limits, your internal chaos takes over." That's what happened to him. And to me. I remember my own version of that week. After a long winning streak, I thought I was invincible. I told myself I'd learned discipline, but really, I'd only learned confidence. Then the market shifted. My first loss felt small. The second one, unnecessary. By the third, I was angry. I doubled my size. I said, "I'll show the market who's right." But the market doesn't care who's right. It only mirrors who you are. That day, I didn't lose because of volatility or because my strategy failed. I lost because I couldn't accept being wrong. And that's when I understood fear doesn't come from the market. It comes from resistance. You resist being wrong. You resist losing. You resist uncertainty. But every time you resist, you amplify the fear you're trying to escape. That's the fear of loss loop. You fear losing. You act impulsively. You lose more, and fear grows stronger. Soon, your trades aren't about setups anymore. They're about avoiding pain. And when trading becomes about avoiding pain, clarity disappears. Wait. Be honest. When you click buy, do you truly accept the risk? Or do you just hope it won't happen that single moment? That microsecond of denial is where every emotional spiral begins. You don't plan revenge trades in advance. They happen the moment fear starts guiding your decisions. And when fear drives, logic disappears. You see, the market is neutral. Every tick, every candle, just information. But to a fearful mind, neutral information feels like attack. You read danger where there's only data. You react instead of respond. You chase instead of observe. And then you wonder, why do I keep making the same mistake? Because you never solved the fear. You only tried to outsmart it. When I finally stopped running, something strange happened. The same charts looked different. The same setups felt lighter. I could finally see opportunity, not threat. It wasn't because the market changed. It was because I did. As long as you resist fear, it owns you. But the moment you face it, you start to see differently. There's a moment every trader faces. The one where your mind whispers, you can't lose control. But the truth is, you never had control in the first place. Mark Douglas once wrote, "The best traders believe anything can happen, and that belief sets them free." That line sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest truths you'll ever accept. Because if anything can happen, then no setup is certain. No edge is absolute. No outcome is guaranteed. And that means your safety was never in the chart. It was always in your state of mind. Control feels safe. It gives the illusion that if you just hold on tight enough, nothing bad will happen. But in trading, the tighter you hold, the faster you lose balance. Control is an illusion, a fragile wall you build against uncertainty. And every tick that moves against you becomes a crack in that wall. You start checking positions every few seconds, moving stop losses, second-guessing your plan. Each small adjustment isn't strategy. It's fear in disguise. You think control keeps you safe, but it's what keeps you trapped. Control, safety, anxiety, tighter control, more anxiety. That's the loop. That's the invisible cage most traders live in. And the only way out is to stop resisting uncertainty. Because the moment you stop trying to control what you can't, you start focusing on what you can. That's when acceptance begins. And acceptance isn't weakness. It's clarity. He learned that the hard way. The same trader from before, who gave back all his recent gains. For weeks, he kept fighting the market, changing systems, rewriting rules. Every time he lost, he doubled down on control. Until one morning, after another sleepless night, he stared at the screen and did nothing. No analysis, no strategy hopping, just watched the chart move. For the first time, he wasn't trying to predict, he was trying to understand. And that's when it hit him. He couldn't control the market. He could only control how he showed up in it. He stopped predicting. He started preparing. He predefined his risk, accepted the loss before it happened. And once he did, something shifted. The anxiety disappeared. Not because the trade was guaranteed to win, but because the outcome no longer defined him. He finally saw what Douglas meant by freedom. Freedom isn't from losing, it's from needing to win. When you stop clinging to outcomes, the noise quiets. You enter what professionals call the zone. It's that space where thoughts disappear, where you're no longer forcing anything. You just act calmly, precisely, because your mind and the market are finally in sync. Flow doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that you can handle whatever comes next. You've been chasing certainty your whole trading life. Every course, every indicator, every backtest. A search for something that would make you feel safe. But the paradox is this. The safer you try to feel, the more fear you create. Safety isn't the absence of risk. It's peace with it. When you can say, I don't need to know what happens next, and mean it. That's when you've truly let go. You think control keeps you safe, but it's what keeps you trapped. The more you try to control the market, the more it controls you. The moment you let go, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop predicting and start perceiving. You stop fearing and start flowing. That's what real control looks like. Not the power to force an outcome, but the ability to stay calm no matter the outcome. Because true control begins the moment you stop needing it. Consistency. It's the word every trader chases, but almost no one understands. Most think it comes from the perfect system, the right strategy, the flawless setup. But it doesn't. Consistency isn't built in the market. It's built in your mind. Mark Douglas wrote, "Consistent results come from thinking in probabilities. And that sentence changes everything if you're ready to hear it. When you truly think in probabilities, you stop asking, will this trade win? And start asking, am I okay if it doesn't? Because in a world of probabilities, there is no right or wrong. Only process and presence. The moment you grasp that, the fear that ruled you for years begins to fade. You stop needing the market to prove your worth. You stop measuring your identity by a green or red number on the screen. And that's when the shift begins. The trader from before, the one who used to tighten his grip with every loss, he began to change too. He stopped trying to predict. He started to prepare. Each trade was no longer a verdict. It was a sample in a long series of outcomes. He finally understood, a single trade doesn't matter. It never did. All that matters is the next one and how you show up for it. That's what thinking in probabilities really means. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being free from expectation. At first, it felt strange, almost empty. No highs from a win, no despair from a loss. Just calm. He realized he wasn't losing passion. He was losing attachment. The attachment to being right. The attachment to control. The attachment to outcome. And in that space, clarity took root. He stopped forcing trades. He waited for his plan, patiently, quietly. No rush, no need. And when he acted, he did it with peace. Because he had already accepted every possible outcome. That's what emotional freedom looks like. It's not about trading without emotion. It's about trading without emotional conflict. When you accept risk, emotionally, not logically, you set yourself free. Fear fades away, and clarity replaces it. And when you reach that point, you realize something profound. The market never needed to change. You did. One night he noticed something small, but powerful. He slept deeply. No charts running through his mind. No replaying the day's trades. No what-ifs. He woke up lighter, calmer. And when he sat at his desk that morning, it wasn't about chasing opportunity. It was about aligning with it. That calm followed him outside the market. He started listening more, thinking slower, breathing deeper. The same awareness that made him consistent in trading began shaping every part of his life. Because when you stop needing to control the market, you stop needing to control life. You start responding instead of reacting. You start flowing instead of forcing. You realize discipline isn't control. Discipline is trust. Trust in your preparation. Trust in your edge. Trust that doing the right thing again and again will align with the right results in time. That's the paradox Douglas tried to teach. The moment you stop needing certainty, consistency begins. This is the moment you let go, not of money, but of fear. Fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of not being enough. Every trade you take without unease isn't just a better trade. It's a clearer version of you. When fear fades, space opens. And in that space, you see patterns you've never seen before. You feel rhythm instead of chaos. You act with precision, not hesitation, because clarity isn't something you find. It's something that emerges when fear finally goes quiet. Trading used to feel like a battle within. Now it feels like music. Each trade, a note. Each loss, a rest between melodies. Each win, just another tone in the rhythm of growth. Once you stop fighting uncertainty, you start dancing with it. That's emotional freedom. That's consistency. The market has always been the same. It rises, it falls, it moves in waves, driven by millions of minds, each one chasing comfort, running from fear. The only thing that ever changes is you. For years, he thought the market was against him. Every loss felt personal, every reversal unfair, every fake breakout a betrayal. But now, he looks at the same chart, and it feels different. Not because the chart changed, but because he did. He used to react. Now he observes. He used to demand certainty. Now, he accepts movement. He used to ask, why is the market doing this to me? Now he asks, what is this moment teaching me? And that single shift from accusation to awareness changes everything. Mark Douglas once said, the market doesn't create your attitude, it reflects it. It's a mirror, showing you every emotion you haven't mastered yet. When you're fearful, the market shows hesitation. When you're greedy, it shows temptation. When you're calm, it shows opportunity. The market never changes, but it will keep reflecting you until you learn to see clearly. The same scene as before, a trader before the screen. Same desk, same light, same chart, but this time, no tension in the shoulders, no rapid breathing, no need to prove anything. He watches, he waits, he breathes. There's no fear, no rush, no story, just flow. And in that silence, you realize the calm you were searching for was never in the market. It was always inside you. You don't control the outcome, you control your presence. You don't manage chaos, you manage your focus. You don't conquer the market, you align with it. Because the real mastery isn't in predicting what happens next. It's in accepting that you don't have to. Freedom isn't the absence of risk. It's peace with it. It's waking up knowing anything can happen and still choosing to stay calm. That's what separates the amateurs from the masters. Not more indicators, not more certainty, just more peace. Because once your mind stops fighting the market, you start to see it for what it truly is, a reflection of your own growth. The market hasn't changed, the charts haven't changed, but you have. And that changes everything. You've come full circle, back to where it all began. The quiet hum of the screen, the flicker of price, the stillness before a trade. Only this time, something feels different. Your breath is steady, your pulse calm. The noise is still there, but it no longer controls you, because now you understand. Consistency doesn't come from controlling uncertainty. It comes from being calm inside it. You don't need to master the market. You only need to master yourself. The market never cared about your fear or your hope. It just mirrored them back to you until you finally saw who you were. And the moment you did, everything changed. Not because the market changed, but because you did. You stopped chasing the illusion of control. You stopped trying to force outcomes. You started trusting your process and accepting the unknown. That's what freedom really is. Not escaping risk, but embracing it without losing your peace. Freedom through acceptance, calm within uncertainty, presence within probability. That's the space where mastery begins. If this message made you pause, don't chase certainty. Build calm. Because every trader wants control, but the best ones find peace. This isn't financial advice, it's mental awareness. In the next chapter, we'll explore the state where consistency is born. The space between fear and flow. A place where decisions are effortless and clarity feels natural. Until then, breathe, observe, and remember, the market didn't change. You did.